Okay, it says we are live. We're about 3 minutes and 20 seconds late. I do apologize for that. Did have a phone call just before I was getting ready to go live from a client that I actually have a video shoot with on Wednesday. So we had to have a quick little parlay, quick little discussion. This is an extension of the emergency broadcast from yesterday, and the reason that I'm wearing a safari shirt, in fact, a Willis & Geiger safari shirt made in the USA. Can't buy these anymore, by the way. I have a few of them left. This is the one with the pad for shooting and the place to put shotgun shells. Here there's various compartments here to put shotgun shells in, and pockets on the side and all kinds of good stuff. Willis & Geiger, hard to find. This particular type of safari shirt. But anyway, I digress. So, not completely actually. The reason I put this shirt on is to say, hey, we talked about yesterday, could I actually wear something like this, a casual attire, if you will. Could I wear the 002 Stunner in a heavy use situation? And I went ahead and threw on the FOPE bracelet. Is that cough again? The FOPE bracelet, just, you know, to further push the envelope a little bit. You know, what do you think? In a casual situation, can you wear the 002 Stunner with a Willis & Geiger safari shirt? Are you going on a hike up the mountain, or are you going into the wilderness a little bit? What do you think? I think the spring drive is pretty robust. I think it could handle just about anything you throw at it. And also, this is 30 meter water resistant. If you ended up in a big puddle or something, you'd probably be okay. And I think it could take some shock also. I think it could handle that. And MM says, Stunner. Stig was in the house early. He says, good evening, Craig and everybody. Lance is in the house. He says, hello, Craig and all. And Triforce Rich was in the house. Live with the greatest being in the Milky Way. And so, what do you guys think? This is an extension of part one. In part one, we discussed the radical possibility, which we've discussed on the show before, but not in as much detail, of using the 002 Stunner as a daily wear watch, as a one-watch rotation. So using it in heavy use situations. I made the argument that back in the day, most watches had straps. Having a bracelet wasn't normal. Most people wore them on straps, and guess what? I've become a strap fan. This thing is super comfortable. Much more comfortable than any watch I've ever had on a bracelet. Even the Snowflake, which was super comfortable. This is even more comfortable than that. There's something about the strap shaped to your wrist and the not having the links. There's something about that. There's just an added comfort factor there. Hard to describe until you actually wear it a significant amount of time. Let's get a close-up. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely, positively stunning. So, should the 231 be put on the bench permanently? Should the 231 be put on the auction block? Should the 231 go down the road in favor of the 002 becoming a one-watch rotation? What do you think of the one-watch rotation option on the 002? And by the way, people said you can't wind it when it's on your wrist, that you're going to put too much stress on the crown. This crown is robust, folks. You can wind it anytime you want, folks. I think it's fine. I do wind it off wrist just because somebody pointed that out to me that I shouldn't wind it on wrist. So I do wind it off wrist. And I don't sleep with it, so I could wind it every night when I go to bed, and that would be fine because it has a 3-day power reserve. Triforce, Craig, instead of discussing if you should go and film a video, instead of discussing it, you should go and film a video of you playing tennis, hiking, swimming, and working out with the 002. Very good point. Very good point. Yeah. I generally, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's rude. I'll do that during a live show. But I generally don't play tennis with watches on, period. I generally take my watch off when I play tennis. So, but I could do it to prove a point. I'm sure I could do it. I'm sure the watch would survive it. Could you a little more in depth about the history of the straps and bracelet? When does stainless steel bracelets become a common thing, and why? Pros, cons, leather versus steel bracelet. That's a very good question. I don't know. I'm just saying, just from memory, back in the day, it was common for a lot of people to wear watches on straps. And I don't know when bracelets became the norm. I don't really know when that happened, if that was in the 70s or exactly when that happened. But it happened. But there are still a lot of people that are fans of straps. The biggest disadvantage, of course, to a leather strap is it will wear out. And at some point, it will have to be replaced. It will wear out before most bracelets. Bracelets eventually wear out too, by the way, with enough use. But in any event, the leather one absolutely would have to be replaced more often, but people didn't really care about that. They just replaced them. It's not that big a deal. They're not that expensive. So I don't think that's a big downside. If you don't have a deployant clasp, I think they're a pain in the neck to put on and off and all that. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have a strap that had a standard clasp. I would only do it with a deployant clasp like this one has. This is a joy to put on and off. And it doesn't flex the strap real bad when you put it on and off, so the strap will actually last longer as well. But let me show you the back side of this watch. So I think that given a high-quality deployant clasp, which this watch has, I think that the trade-off is worth it. I think the fact that you would have to periodically replace the strap, and I'm convinced the strap would last a couple of years, even with heavy use, even if it gets wet occasionally, as long as you just dry it out properly like you would any leather item that gets wet, right? You let it air dry, you make sure that you keep it conditioned properly. I think that it would last several years, and so every several years you just replace it. Let's see. Stig says, Craig, we know that you are a hard man and do not baby your watches, but the 002 in a mud pool. Hey, if that happened, if you're on safari, right, and you slip and fall and you end up in some quicksand or something, I mean, you know, the 002 might get a little quicksand on it, but you'll rinse it off and clean it up later. I think it'll be fine. Mike's in the house. What kind of heavy use? Digging holes in the yard, surfing in the ocean. I think you still need the diver. I don't surf, so there's that. I can't remember the last time I dug a hole in the yard. But my watches get banged around a little bit. They bang against like a tripod or something. You know, I'm fooling with camera gear or whatever. They get banged around a little bit. And this would definitely get some dings. It would get some dings on it. I used the Date 8 quite a bit, though, and I mean, it was in really nice shape when I sold it after 20 years of non-babied use. I wouldn't call it hard use. I'd call it not babied. I don't bang my watch into things like some people say they bang their watches into doorknobs and things like that, just haphazardly. They're walking along and they bang their watch into things. I tend to not do that. I guess I've been lucky over the years that I just don't, that's not a thing that I do. So my watches don't get banged in that sense. They get occasionally bumped against something. That does happen, but I mean, knock on wood, even the 231, which has been banged around quite a bit, it still looks really good. I mean, you get macro shots, you'll see scratches and stuff on it, but I mean, I think it looks great on wrist still. I think watches get a patina. I think they get kind of cooler looking with use. I think that's not a big downside. I don't think that's the argument against it, really. Somebody said, well, you hurt the resale value. I don't buy my watches to sell them, folks. I buy them to wear. And yes, this 231 will sell for a little less than it would sell for if it was brand new in the box. But I mean, you know, I don't buy my watches for investments and to try to recoup the maximum amount when I sell them. If I sell them because I'm not wearing them anymore. And they're surplus and they got to go. I've sold a couple of watches, as you guys know. But, yeah, I mean, you take a hit if you actually use the watch, but that's what I bought the watch for in the first place, so of course I'm going to use it. Let's see. BSurf says, worst case scenario, Craig, you would have to send the 002 for service. I agree. I think so. Let's see. Very good point. BSurf says, Craig could put it on a NATO when he has to go into the jacuzzi with the ladies. There you go. That's a point. That's a point. And Lance says, sent a link to a stunning vintage Rolex. We'll look at that. Craig, lots of YouTubers post polls. Maybe you can do one for the 002-231 debate. M says, buy to wear. Yep. Rolex fervor is the new tulip mania. Speaking of fervor, the Bitcoin is going crazy lately, folks. Have you noticed what's happening lately with Bitcoin? Holy mackerel. People are just, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, folks. People are just FOMOing in, and we're starting to see that there are some shortages. There's what we're looking at right now, 16,700. So I don't know, folks. I don't know. Are people starting to panic? I don't think it's retail buyers, by the way. I think it's institutional buyers. I don't think the retail buyers are in yet. If they start FOMOing in, I think things could really go crazy. Things could go crazy and get interesting real fast on Bitcoin. Just saying. Just saying that can happen. It's happened in the past and it can happen again. It can go crazy. All right, let's look at the email. Look at the email here. Lance in the house. Lance sending in the good stuff. Lance is no joke. I say, this is kind of cool. Wait a minute now. $38,000? Are you kidding me? Holy mackerel. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think for that kind of money, I'd buy an 002 and wear it and call it a day. But it's a cool watch. A buddy of mine had one of these back in the day. He had one of these he bought new. He worked on a ship. He was a merchant marine. He was a communications guy on a ship. And so he kind of needed the anti-magnetic stuff. I think he was around some magnets from time to time and stuff like that. So he had some really cool stuff. He was one of these cool guys that made a bunch of money. And he got paid well, right? Of course, he went and he was on the ship for like 6 months, right? But he was able to buy all the toys. He had what was the name of the bike, the Italian bike he had? Darn, it starts with a B. I can't remember the name now. He had a really cool Italian bike. He had he had a BMW. Was it a R90? Anyway, he had a pretty cool BMW motorcycle, and he had an Alfa Romeo, black with black, all triple black leather, black top. That was a beauty. So, yeah, he was one of these guys that he had all the cool stuff, right? Because he had this cool job, raking down some money. Let's see here. Not that you have defined heavy use. I now think you need the 231. Okay. This is up 50% this month. You know that, it's interesting. The big rise in BTC started with Brianna's video that she released about Michael Saylor that got 600,000 views. It went viral on Twitter. It got 600,000 views. That started the Bitcoin pump. And she's released a video every week since then, and the pump has continued. And so there are people on Twitter that are saying that Brianna, a.k.a. Brefit Dance, has caused this latest pump. I think she helped, because I think Michael Saylor's purchase was huge. That's the first publicly traded company to buy a huge amount of Bitcoin. I think that was a huge move, to overuse the word huge. And I think her video brought a lot of attention to that. So that very well could have started the snowball. And since then, Michael Saylor's been on a whole bunch of podcasts, and he's been all over the place promoting Bitcoin. And it's a pretty wild ride that's going on right now. No, Moto Guzzi, no, I'm talking about, it was a bicycle. It was a bicycle that he had that was Italian. Botteccia, I think Botteccia, something like that. Somebody in the chat will come up with the name. And then he had a BMW motorcycle. Let's see. How did you meet the cool guy? He went to school with a good friend of mine, and he was about our age, maybe a year or two older than me. Howard Israel was his name. Howard Israel. I'm sure he's still alive. And his parents actually had money also, which helped. But most of the goodies, the toys, he bought himself. Craig, do you miss the 005? Not really. Not when I have the 002. I hate to tell you this, but the 002, my God, you talk about forgetting all other watches. If you get an 002 and you wear it, you're like, the other watches are like so passé now. I mean, it's like, oh my God, it's just not even a close call. I've forgotten all about the Rolex Date 8. I've forgotten. Like, you get the really cool new girlfriend that's just perfect in every way. You really do forget about all the others that came before. That's how it works. And that's what happened here. Yeah, the others are just like ancient memory now. Craig, we talked about this earlier on. Despite the predictions, Rolex watches seem to rise and get even more expensive. Just look at the new OP with colorful dials at 5,000 Stig. Craig, there seems to be a lot of controversy regarding wearing gold stunners. Did horology talk like the 002 plus FOPE combo? Did horology talk like the, I don't know. No, it was something like Botteccia or Botteccia. I forget how you spelled it. I don't think that's the name of the Italian bicycle. Maybe somebody will come up with it. Okay, did Horology talk? I don't think I don't know if Horology Talk commented on the 002 plus FOPE combo. I don't know if anybody commented on that. Stig, with regard to Rolex prices staying strong, I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of hard items, hard commodities, whatever you want to call them, things like that. You're going to see the prices stay up because I think that what's happening is the fiat currency is losing its value with at the rate that the U.S. dollar, that they're printing dollars. I think you're going to see that the dollar is going to buy a lot less of anything. I think we're going to see significant inflation, and I think that's why Bitcoin is pumping as much as it is. I think people are trying to put their dollars anywhere. They've been putting their dollars into the stock market. The stock market's been pumping. They've been putting their money into real estate. Some real estate's been pumping. I think they all see that the dollar is going to lose its value, and they want to get those dollars and put them into something. So yes, some people might put them into Rolexes. Absolutely, they might do that. I mean, and where's it, Venezuela? They were buying like extra washing machines, right? And setting them on their porch so that they had a washing machine they could sell later on because they knew the currency was going to be worthless, right? So they would just buy anything they could buy. We could get to that point. Frankenstein, of course, some things that you put your money in will do better than others. So the trick is to pick the right thing or things to put your money in, right? I think that's the way that goes. Frankenstein Accord, if you had to pick one watch for your life, what would it be? That's what we're talking about here. Maybe I'd wear the 002 and just rock it all the time. I think it's gorgeous. What do you guys think? How does it look with this casual attire that I have on right now? The casual attire. How does the 002 look? What do you guys think? I'm wearing it right now. I'm gesticulating my hands. You know, hey, you go down there, you turn right, you go over that way. Yeah, you know. And so what do you think? How does it look? Bottecchia, there you go. I think that's it. I think you got it. By George, he's got it. Do they still make them? Do they still make Bottecchia bicycles? It was really cool back in the day. It's like we're talking 1978 he had it. Let's see. Jaden says day-date prices have been moving much higher. Good point on hard assets. Well, here's the thing. I've also been talking a lot about day-dates. So that could be possibly part of it. Maybe some of these folks are finally becoming educated and realizing that the day-date is the way to go if you want a Rolex. If you want a Rolex, that is the way to go. I believe that is true. G-Poo's in the house. Craig, have you been wearing the 231 or is it the redheaded stepchild? I've been wearing it. No, I wear it a lot. And the only reason I would stop wearing it is if I sold it. That would force me then. That would force the situation, and I'd have to wear this one all the time. As it is right now, I only wear this one when I'm wearing a suit, going to a meeting, whatever, you know, casual around the house, beating around, you know, I'm generally wearing the 231. So that's what my rotation is right now. And I actually bought this for that purpose. I bought this to wear more as a dress watch, right? I didn't wear it as a wear all the time. I didn't buy it as a wear all the time watch, but I'm just saying that I like it so much that I'm thinking about making it a wear all the time watch. But I'm not actively advertising the 231. I mentioned in yesterday's show that if somebody wanted it, a subscriber, the price would be $5,000, and that is a fair price, I think, given the condition and given the accuracy of this particular watch. I think that is a fair price, and I think they would get a great watch for that. So I would sell it under the right circumstances to a subscriber, but it's not advertised anywhere. So Mike, when buying a stock, you can find out how much is held by institution. Is there any where to look and find how much BTC is owned by institutions. Well, it's interesting. There are companies that do analysis of the blockchain. And they are able to get a lot of information because it is a public ledger. And so they're able to deduce a lot of information. They're able to look at the number of wallets that have, like, a high balance of Bitcoin in them. And they're able to look at wallets where the Bitcoin hasn't moved for a substantial period of time. That would kind of indicate somebody that is holding, that's not trying to trade, buy and sell, that sort of thing. So they are able to glean a lot of information from the blockchain. So yes, there are ways to get a lot of that. And there are people that analyze these things and come to certain conclusions and so forth. And right now, there is a general consensus that more and more institutional money, high net worth individuals, that sort of thing, are what's driving the price right now. That it's not really retail. It's mainly high net worth individuals and institutions, I believe, that are driving the increase right now. And I think we'll hear more publicly traded companies announcing that they're buying Bitcoin, because if they buy over a certain amount, they have to announce it. They can buy a certain amount, I think, without having to announce it. But once it reaches a certain threshold, percentage of their balance sheet or whatever, I don't know how it exactly works, but once it reaches a certain threshold, then they have to announce it, because Michael Saylor said he had to announce it. Legally, he had to announce it. And actually, he had bought a significant amount of Bitcoin. I think he bought like $250 million worth of Bitcoin prior to the company buying $425 million worth of Bitcoin. But he disclosed to the board and everyone that he had already purchased. So he didn't want there to be a conflict of interest there, right? He disclosed, hey, I've already bought personally, $250 million worth. I think it was 17,000 Bitcoin. So I don't know how much those are worth now. Probably a lot more than 250 million. It's gone up quite a bit. But in any event, he bought a large portion of Bitcoin prior to advising the company to do it. And then they did all their due diligence and so forth. And then the company purchased $425 million worth of Bitcoin, which is now worth, of course, significantly more than that. So pretty wild, pretty wild stuff. Let's see. Buser says, I would be pressuring you to sell the 231 so that I could buy it, but it's kind of too thick for my taste. I hear you, Buser. That's right. Have you tried one on, though? Because they do wear smaller than their dimensions would suggest, just because of the shape of the case and because of the lack of weight. The lack of weight. They wear very comfortably. I probably have two of the most comfortable wearing watches. In a sport category, I think that definitely hands down is the most comfortable sport watch out there. And then in the dress category, I think this one, for the size that it is. Now, of course, you could get a smaller dress watch, it would be more comfortable. But for the size that this is and for my wrist, this is insanely comfortable. Let's see. Lance says, sell the 231 and use the money to buy more BTC. The 002 can be your everyday watch, plus you still have the winger for heavy use situations. Interesting point, Lance. Lance bringing some really cool information into the situation. Well, hey, here's the thing. If a subscriber steps forward, and this has happened before, with the other gold stunner that I had, if a subscriber steps forward and wants the watch, then I'll do a deal. It'd be a nice, clean, easy deal. I wouldn't have to pay a commission to Chrono 24 or eBay or whatever, right? And so it'd be a nice, clean deal. That might happen. I'm not pressed. I don't have to make it happen. But very good suggestion, Lance. I'm really liking where you're coming from, where your head is these days. Mike and Has, did you get to watch the documentary Next Blockchain 2018 on Netflix? Very interesting. No, I didn't. I didn't. Is this, I hope it's not one of those documentaries that talks about how the blockchain, excuse me, how the blockchain is going to solve all the world's problems, and they're going to be, tokenize everything and all this stuff, because I don't see that happening. Bitcoin is really the only legit use for the blockchain technology, decentralized blockchain technology, if you will. It doesn't really make sense for anything else. Sorry, all these altcoins out there, but that's just the way it is. Bees serve in the house. I did try it on, thinking diameter dimensions are good, but it sits tall on my wrist, and I'm not a fan of how curvaceous it is on the sides of the case. Oh, okay. Jeepu, Craig, your 9F gold stunner is at Little Treasury now. Yes, I don't think he sold it yet. Steve has that for sale. And I have to be honest with you, I did try to do a deal on it because I was thinking about giving it to Brianna, but I couldn't get the deal that I wanted, so it didn't happen. Didn't happen. I actually had some cash with me when I was there the other day, but couldn't make that deal happen. Sometimes you just can't make a deal, folks. Sometimes you try and you try to wrangle a deal and you just can't make a deal. That happens sometimes. But I'm getting some great suggestions here. Oh, let me show the macro shots again that I showed in yesterday's show. Again, folks, if you're watching this after the fact, highly recommend that you check out yesterday's show. Same title, but it's not part 2. This one's tagged part 2. The other one is just the same title as this. It's a dress watch daily with a question mark without the part 2. Okay, and as a matter of fact, I took a couple photos of me wearing the same outfit from yesterday's show, and I put them on my Flickr. So there they are. There's some pictures I took. Showing the 002 stunner with some French cuffs. And there's the backside. It's got a good looking backside. Good looking backside. The 002 stunner. And there, we talked about this, that the angle that people usually see your watch at is from the side. They usually don't see it straight on. They usually see it from the side. See here? See, like when your wrist is like this and all, they're usually seeing it from the side. Kind of the side view is very important on a watch. And this one, the side view, is absolutely stunning. I think you'll agree. Absolutely stunning from the side. Good, nice, healthy size crown. I don't like the tiny crown they put on a lot of dress watches. Kind of flat, tiny crown they put on them. Here's the other side. Again, showing that nice shape. Nice curves. I'm a big fan of nice curves. That beautiful snowflake dial. And there's that deployment clasp we were talking about. Close up. And like I say, you can see the patina there. You can see some little scratches and so forth. But hey, it looks great. It looks great in person. It looks stunning. Let's see here. Craig, when you're taking self-portraits, do you have to run back to the camera before the timer goes off? Okay, so those were actually self-portraits. Good call there. I have a 10-second timer on the camera. What I do is I put the light where I'm going to be standing, one of my lights, and I focus on that. So I manually focus on that. Then I put the light, reposition it. And then I know where I'm going to stand, right? I visually know where the light was. And so I hit the button on the camera, and then I go and I stand there and I look at the camera, and and when it gets close, it goes beep, 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 right? And so you know it's getting ready to take the picture. But 10 seconds is plenty of time to get in position. Kevin says they knew better and put the meter on the back. Yes, that's one of the reasons why I bought this watch. Is it very clean dial without the date and without the power reserve indicator. I certainly absolutely prefer that. Busurf sent an email. We're going to take a look. He's talking about a red strap for a red watch. Okay, we're going to take a look. Craig, did your love for GS come before meeting Steve, or did Steve introduce you to GS? Well, the reason I met him was I was very intrigued with the diver, the 231 diver. I had seen a video from Arizona Fine Time. This was a couple years before I met Steve on YouTube, and this was when I had the 007, the Shogun, which was also titanium. I saw the video about the 231, and I was just intrigued with that watch. And then I finally realized that there was a dealer, or that was about probably when Steve got the franchise, that there was a dealer in this neck of the woods. Well, he's an hour and 15 minutes from me, depending on traffic. So I said, I got to get over there. So put some cash in my pocket, called and made sure they had the 231 in stock, and I didn't know Steve from Adam. And I made the trip there, and I negotiated a deal, a cash deal with him. And then I did some reviews on the watch on my channel, and they got a lot of views. And I mentioned, where I bought the watch and so forth. And so he started getting customers and so forth. And then we talked some more, and I talked about what I do for a living, and I help promote small businesses like his. And so he became a client of mine, and he's listed on a number of my community websites. And I've done a number of videos, covering some of his events and things like that. And so, he has become a client of mine, and I'm a customer of his. So that's how that whole thing went down. So let me check now and see what the email's like. Take a look here. I think it's kind of striking. I think it's fun. Yeah, no, I have no issues. Is that alligator? Or croc or whatever? I mean, it could be one or the other, but I mean, yeah. I think so. I like it. I think it would have a nice pop to it. Two thumbs up for that one. Craig, I went back to your Shogun review and couldn't help but notice an Invicta in the background. Please tell me you didn't pay money for that thing. I had a couple of Invictas. I had a 9937, I believe is the model. That's actually probably the best Invicta that was ever made. It had solid end links, pretty nice piece. I had one of those. I went through this stage where I was trying to find some affordable watches that really made sense for daily use. And I bought several and went through several and did reviews on several. And at the end of the day, I ended up selling all of them and just concluded that it just wasn't the way to go. I tried. I bought a Steinhardt. I bought a number of these options for more affordable watches. I mean, not cheap watches, but more affordable watches, right? And yeah, I looked at Invicta, especially the 9937 is probably the best Invicta to get. It's the closest to an actual sub knockoff, right? 40 millimeter. About the same size and shape, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion that none of them were the way to go. Even the Shogun, again, it just wasn't accurate enough. It was losing time, and the movements in those are just too marginal. And so even though I really liked the watch, it was a great watch, and I still think it's a great watch for the money. If somebody wants to spend, let's say, $700, you can probably buy one for $700. I think it's a heck of a watch, and probably the best watch for the money. But I think if I was going to do it today, I'd add a little bit more. Excuse me. I'd add a little bit more to that money, and I'd buy a used GS with a 9F movement. You can buy them all day long on eBay for like $900, all day long. Halfway decent ones. So I think that would be a better move at this point. Now, I don't know that you'd get a screw-down crown, though. So if you really need the diver-type situation, that might not work. You might have to go with the 007. I just hope you get one that runs fast instead of slow. Let's see, Jade, no boy, 0.25 millimeter high Invicta. Yeah, no. No, I didn't have any of those. Mike in the house, the road from Invicta to GS. Well, well, yeah, that was just that was an experimentation. Well, like I say, I had a, what was it? It was a titanium, it was a Swiss Army. I think it was one of the ones made by Victorinox. Anyway, I had one of those. I had a bunch of different watches that were in the anywhere from $200-300 up to maybe $1,000 price range that I looked at and played with, and some of them I wore for a while. I wore the Steinhardt for a while. I even wore the 9937 for a while, not that long, maybe a couple weeks, just to try them and just to see, okay, can some of these watches get the job done? And they just had issues. They were just issues. So yeah, I just couldn't figure it out. I just didn't find one that really got the job done. Kyle's in the house, and it's good to see him. He missed yesterday's show live, but he did comment after the fact. Kyle, what's your take on Bitcoin pumping a little bit here? I hear some high net worth individuals and some institutions are buying in. We're at 16,749 as we speak. Is this going to be a more gradual uptick than we had in 2017 without a major pullback? Or are we going to see a big spike here coming up and have a major sell-off and a major pullback? What do you think? I think this might be more of a stair step up with some consolidations along the way and some minor pullbacks, maybe 10% pullbacks for Bitcoin. That's nothing, right? And I think we might be okay this time. I think we might not have a major pullback. Time will tell. We will see. Time will tell the tale on that. Especially since, again, I think that a lot of this is institutional money, and there's evidence that a lot of the buyers that have been buying at like $13,000, $14,000, a lot of the money's been coming in those prices, and you know, if they're buying at those kind of numbers, they're probably in for the long haul. You know, these aren't people that bought at $30 these days. These are people that bought at real prices. I think the people that bought at $30, those weak hands, that I think that most of them have sold by now. We'll see. We'll see. Craig, I was going to say that I wouldn't advise only having the 002. What if a group of young women wanted to hop in the jacuzzi? You need the 231. Well, here's the problem with that, Kyle. Let's say I was wearing the 002 and they want to jump in the jacuzzi. I mean, am I going to go back and change my watch? I mean, that could kill the mood, right? Oh, I got to go back and change my watch. I think depending on the ladies and depending on how much fun they are, I think I might risk it and just jump in with the 002 on the wrist. Sometimes you just got to take a risk, folks. Sometimes that's the way it is. So, but I don't know. I that scenario doesn't really present itself, excuse me, that often. I got to shake this cold. I am getting a cough or whatever it is. It got real bad for a while there, folks. I'm telling you, I was coughing like crazy. It was waking me up at night. It was bad. And then my sister said, start taking these pills for these allergies. And I've been taking one every day. And she said, it takes a while and it'll kind of clear things up. And it has gotten better to the point where, I mean, it's not like terrible, but I'm still got this lingering thing. And of course, everybody, if you're talking to somebody or anything like that and you cough and all, they all, oh, you got COVID, right? Well, if I've got COVID, I've had it for 6 weeks because I've had this damn cough for that long. So, yeah. But I haven't had any fever or anything else, any of the other symptoms. So I don't think I've had COVID, but who knows? Some people get COVID and never even know they had it. So who knows about all that? Let's see. I've heard the same thing on BTC. I'm still not selling. I'm hoping for gradual increases. Yeah, I have no interest in selling because I don't know where I would put my money if I sold. Where the hell would I put the money? I don't want to hold it as cash. Like Michael Saylor says, cash is like an ice cube melting away. Every year, you're losing money due to inflation. It's just melting away. And there are people that are saying that inflation is going to be like 20% this year. That the first half of the year it was like 13%. In the inflation rate. So I mean that's really chewing away at your money fast. that's no joke. Let's see here. Kyle says, hey Jaden, weren't you getting a new Rolex? See if we can get some inside information here. B says, Kyle, I addressed this. He could wear it on a NATO strap. There you go. Well, yeah, leather can get wet. If you dry it off and you towel dry it and then you let it air dry, overnight, and then you give it a little bit of treatment, a little bit of leather treatment. I mean, leather can get wet. It doesn't, a high quality strap is going to be stitched. This is stitched all the way around. Let me show you a close up. Oops. It's stitched all the way around. So it's not going to fall apart just because it gets wet. If it was just glued together, if it was two pieces of leather glued together, then I can see, it falling apart. There's a close-up of that stunning dial. I can see it coming apart if it's just some cheap, glued together thing, but I don't know that this one's going to come apart that easily. Okay, that's a good point, be served. Maybe a new strap if it's the only option. I also just love the 231. It would be heartbreaking to see it go. I like the 231 also. That's why I'm not advertising it. That's why I'm just mentioning it here on the show. Lance has now sent photos of a gold ore stress watch. We will look at that. Any more thoughts on buying a coach? I've got to figure out something for the company here. I've got to have somebody that can take care of it while I'm traveling, and I haven't been able to solve that issue yet. But I'm definitely going to be getting another coach at some point. Absolutely, a Prevost more than likely. Maybe a Newell, but probably a Prevost. Buserve Panerai says the male calf straps are treated to be waterproof. Okay. There you go. I think you can put treatment on any kind of leather to help it resist the elements. I think it's a lot of the, how you take care of leather that matters. So, yeah. Let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. Oris, Centennial, Big Crown, Porter date. Okay. 4,500. Let's look at the pictures. Hey. Until when they say big crown, that is big. Whoa. I do like a big crown, but that might be taking it a little bit too far. That is kind of cool. What the heck's wrong with it? That seems like an excellent price. If I didn't have a gold stunner, I would be tempted. Look at those lugs. That's a gorgeous watch. Look at the Lance. You did it. You did it again. Look at the bezel on that piece. That is stunning. And I like the date. I like the way the date is done. That's a much cleaner look than having a hole cut in the dial and so on. I'm not a big fan of a small seconds hand, but in this case, I would make an exception. I think it's gorgeous. Wonder how thick it is. It looks a little bit stubby. It looks a little bit thick, the proportions. Of course, that picture might be distorting. But the crown is big. I could go for it. I wonder what the size is. 19 millimeter strap, which is the same as this watch. It's got a signed crown, clasp. Of course, it doesn't have a deployant, but it's not the end at this price point. My God, how picky can you be? I guess it's 38 millimeter. Wow. I'm tempted to buy it, and I don't even need one. It's got loom? Are you kidding me? Holy cow, guys. Holy cow. I'll tell you, if that thing was like 34 mil or something, I would buy that for Brianna in a second. That is a good-looking piece. Wow. 2 solid thumbs up on that puppy. That is a find. That is a find. That is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. Whoa. Let's see here. Okay, let me get caught up here. Stig says, Kyle, I'm with you on this one. You got to be prepared for any situation where some young ladies might take you into dark places, and you had better wear the 231 or a Submariner. Buser says, like I said before, worst case scenarios, Craig has to send in the 002 for service, and then it'll be fine. But what would Craig wear while waiting? Apple Watch? Yeah, well, I could wear the Apple Watch for a while. Yeah, I think their turnaround is pretty good. They could service it in New Jersey, I'm sure. I don't think it's going to need it. I think the waterproofing would hold up. I think it's 30-meter water resistant, and I think I trust them. I think I could submerge it, and it would be okay. Let's see. I wonder what 2021 lineup will look like. Good point, Kyle. Do you like Airstreams? I'm not a fan. If I was going to buy a trailer, I guess I could buy an Airstream, but I'm not a big fan of pulling trailers anyway. I think I'd rather have a motor coach. But yeah, if you had to go with a trailer, I think an Airstream would be a good way to go. If you could find a vintage one that was garage kept since new and still in really good shape, Got to watch out. Those can rust out underneath. Underneath, they've got a lot of the supports and all are steel, right? They're not aluminum. So you got to watch out for that. Get one that's a cream puff. You'd be okay. The new spring drives are thinner. Hopefully they would be. Yes. Kyle in the house, Stig in the house, backing me up on this. B-Serve says, I would never spend more than $1,500 on any horse. Yeah, but this one, that's a good-looking watch. I'm sorry, but that's a good-looking watch. I'd probably rather wear that on my wrist than just an ordinary steel Rolex. I mean, the ordinary steel Rolex is just a steel Rolex. It's just a steel watch. That's an 18-karat gold stunner. There's a lot to be said for an 18-karat gold stunner. Stig, sounds like the ladies are leading him into a dark place to take the watch. Hey, depending on the lady, if she really needs the watch, maybe I'd give it to her. Let's see. B-Serve says, I'd rather have a steel Datejust than a gold Oris. I don't know about that. No, I think that I would take this Oris over a steel Datejust. I probably would. That is a gorgeous piece. Absolutely gorgeous piece. Let's see. That says it's 38 millimeter. How much for the Oris? It was $4,500, I believe. Let's look at it here. I believe it was $4,500. It says here, Oris Centennial Big Crown Pointer Date boxes, paper, 18 karat gold. It says $4,500. How come it says $1,800 plus shipping here? Something's wrong with this whole thing here. I don't know we got conflicting numbers here. This watch was sold out and retails, if still available, now should be approximately $4,500. Oh, so $4,500. Or signed gold-plated buckle. Oh, wait a minute now. Is this thing not even 18 karat gold? Is it plated? It looks like he's asking $1,800. Is that it? I think something's wrong here. I think we got an issue. Ridiculous price, $1,800 plus shipping, no trade. Yeah, something's wrong here. Something's wrong with this picture. I bet you it's not 18 karat gold. What's it say on the back here? It says 18K right there. Wow. I'll tell you what, if you could buy that thing for $1,800, yeah. I think there's something not copacetic here, though. I think that's what I'm saying. Something's not copacetic here. And I don't like it that they say that the buckle is plated. But the gold, the watch is solid 18 karat gold and the buckle's plated. That's kind of kludgy. Kind of kludgy, folks, if you ask me. A 231 variant at 40 to 42 mil and 12 mils thick and maybe slightly slimmer class would be great. I think Craig described it. Absolutely. Absolutely. If they refined the clasp to make the Rolex people happy, right? I actually like the clasp on my 231. But yes, to make everybody happy, let's make it a little more elegant. Right now, it's like the Series 3 Land Rover, right? It's very functional, very, just get the job done beast of a clasp, right? If they made it a little more refined, like the Range Rover, right? Then that would probably make people happier. And yes, I would say, I don't think they should go all the way down to 40 mil. I think 42 and 12 mils thick would be awesome. The thickness is the big thing. If they could get it down to 12 mils thick, that'd be thinner than a Submariner. That would be cool. Jeeper says, click on the video. Okay. I'll do it. Oh my gosh, it's from 2015. Guys, come on. 2015. All right. Let's see here. Lance says the case is solid 18 go, but the buckle's plated. Yes, I saw a new Oris diver yesterday. It was beautiful. I'm not too familiar with the brand. Nice Oris, says Carlos. Okay. Thanks, Kyle. Mike says, do you ever miss not having loom on the 002? Not so far. I haven't. Even in pretty low light, the light really reflects off of these hands and indices and all, that it's pretty good. But it's not nearly as legible, obviously, as the 231. That would be one thing I would be giving up, is the massive legibility of the 231. I'd absolutely be giving that up. Part of the plan would probably be I'd stop living in denial and I'd get some decent glasses and just wear the glasses all the time. And probably with gold frames. And then I could always easily read, because like right now I can easily read it with my reading glasses on, right? But the problem is most of the time I don't have my reading glasses on. I only put them on when I'm reading something like I am now, or I'm working at the computer, I have them on. But when I'm out walking and doing other things and so on and so forth, I'm never wearing glasses. I don't wear the glasses. And so that's when the legibility of the 231 comes in. I can read that with or without the glasses. I mean, easily in any light. I mean, it's just insane, the legibility. So I would be giving that up, and I would probably finally stop living in denial and start wearing glasses all the time. So a lot of people do that. A lot of people wear glasses all the time. So I might have to eventually start doing that. All right, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. We've been going more than an hour, folks. Kyle, I have seen new OPs at 8,000 on the gray market. Okay. Yes, gray market, but not retail at ADs. I've seen them as much as 10K. Craig, is it true that Carlos is a chick magnet? Yes, yes. Carlos is very handsome, and it's I'll tell you, you could get a complex, you could get an inferiority complex, because the first thing everybody says after they've met Carlos, and then they talk to you later on or something, oh, he's such a nice guy and all this, you know, he's such a nice guy, he's such a nice guy. You just hear it over and over again, and I'm like, well, what am I, chopped liver? I mean, you know, but yeah, it is what it is. Carlos, everybody loves him. He's good looking. He looks like, you know, he could be a movie star. And I mean, if I was a female, I could absolutely go for Carlos. I mean, he's like a hunk of a guy. I mean, I can understand, you know, you can understand how females like swoon over certain men, right? You can understand that they're just good-looking men, right? Even if you don't go that way, you can still have respect for, you know, why women would go for, you know, Brad Pitt, for example, right? You can see it, right? And Carlos is definitely on that plane, that level, you know, with somebody like Brad Pitt. I mean, like if Brad Pitt was there and they were at a party and they were maneuvering for position and it was Carlos and Brad Pitt, I mean, the ladies would be like, you know, they'd have like a real hard decision to make. You know what I mean? They'd probably gravitate towards Carlos. And then they'd say, he's such a nice guy, you know, and I'd say, take that out of here, you know. I've heard that like way too many times. Let's not talk about how nice a guy Carlos is anymore. It just gets old, you know. So, yeah. He could even compete with Steve. You know, Steve's got that sophisticated, like James Bond look a little bit. But, yeah, that would be a close competition there between those two also. Let's see. Frank says, when I wear my gold day date, it is tough to take off and wear one of my other watches. Gold just pops. Do you ever feel that way? Oh, my gosh, yes. Oh, my gosh, yes. Yeah, not even a close call. I hope your day date's 18 karat yellow gold, but yeah, absolutely. Not even a close call. Kyle, Craig, I think you missed the question on Video Bob. Okay, let me go back to Video Bob. I saw it, but I guess I didn't mention it. Okay, Craig, did you see Video Bob's new Rolex OP? No, I did not. No, I did. I haven't seen any of his stuff come into my feed lately. His stuff hasn't been recommended for me. When I sit down in the theater room and I pull up, YouTube on the big screen TV, it always recommends, different things. And I used to get recommended some of his stuff, and I'd watch it. But lately, it hasn't happened, and I only watch a limited amount of YouTube videos. But I like his stuff. I think he's cool. I like his coach. Let's see here. Be served. The ladies go mad when they spot Carlos's doxa. I don't think they see his doxa. I think, they're looking, at the whole package, if you know what I mean. If you get my drift. He is quite the ladies' man. Okay. Whenever I hear Carlos, I think Carlos and Charles. Okay. I'm sure Carlos could beat Brad Pitt in hand-to-hand combat, and women appreciate that sort of thing too. Did you guys see the fight scene in Troy, the movie Troy, when he fought Hector, the character Hector? That was quite a fight scene. That was pretty freaking epic. If you guys haven't seen it, pull it up and check it out. He, of course, played Achilles, right? The famous warrior, the warrior to beat all warriors. And they had that famous scene in the movie Troy where he fought Hector, who was Troy's greatest fighter, right? And that was quite the scene. Okay, we're going to let it go at that. How can we top that? How can we? Yeah, Carlos would take them all. He'd take them all. Take on all comers, like the guy said in American Graffiti. When he asked him, what he would do, or whatever, the guy racing the chopped, whatchamacallit. Anyway, the guy that won the race. Yeah, we'll take them all on. We'll take them on, right? That's what he said at the end. I think he got killed by a drunk driver, they said. Anyway, American Graffiti. That's another great movie, folks. American Graffiti. You got to see them all. You got to see the classics, folks. You got to see the best of the best of the best. On that note, we are going to let you guys go.